Hi, my name is Beth, and you're listening to the Canna Fitness and Nutrition Podcast, where we are hanging out at the intersection of fitness, nutrition, and cannabis. Thank you so much for pressing play today. I'm super excited that you're here to listen. And if you're new, thank you for checking it out. I hope that you learned something today. I am a personal trainer, nutrition coach, cannabis coach, and educator. And my mission is to break the stigma and help you understand that cannabis is part of a healthy lifestyle. On that note, today we're going to be talking about my preferred consumption method. All right. What I'm hearing lately a lot of is there's a lot of guilt and a lot of shame from those of you who are smoking cannabis, right? I'm getting a big sense that you're feeling like it's not healthy. It's not good for you. And that you want to be healthy because you want to lose weight, or you want to work out more, or maybe you do work on your fitness and you do try to eat healthy, but the cannabis you feel like is not healthy. Well, I'm here to shed some light on that and to tell you my method and how I do it. I use what's called a dry herb vape. Dry herb vape, right? So I am technically smoking. I love it. I am not going to lie. I love it. I love a long inhale. I love a long exhale. And I find that very meditative. And I think that's something that people don't talk about with smoking in general, right? Inhalation, that nice long inhale and a nice long exhale is so good for regulating your nervous system, for just your basic body mechanics, right? Your body loves to breathe. But what's different about the dry herb vape is what you're inhaling, right? It's not that, and this is the thing about smoking cannabis, it's actually not bad for you, right? When we talk about smoking being bad, we're talking about tobacco, right? And cigarettes and nicotine and the things that happen when we burn the byproducts. The byproducts from burning those materials get into your lungs, and yeah, it's not great, right? Especially cigarette smoke, not great. All those toxins that has been proven up and down, right, left, upside down, been proven that it is damaging to your lungs and your body, right? But here's the thing, with cannabis, you're not inhaling the dangerous tobacco, right? You're inhaling the cannabis, right? Now, the danger of it, the irritation that you might feel from smoking cannabis is because it's burned, right? It's burnt material. Now, jury's still out a little bit on that. We don't know fully how that's affecting you, which is why I have turned to the dry herb vape. Because with a dry herb vape, what that means is I have a little device and it's got a little tiny chamber in it, and I take my ground up weed, my ground up flower, and I put a teeny tiny bit in that little chamber, and then it's like a little oven. And then the little oven heats up. I actually get to set the temperature, which is super cool. You get to heat up the flower to whatever temperature you want, because different temperatures do different things. And then the vapor I cool it through a water pipe, is then produced, and I inhale the vapor, right? It's actually even cooled water vapor. So it's not smoke, it's not burnt, it's heated. And that's the biggest difference with the dry herb vape, which is why I recommend it for everyone, because you're not inhaling burnt material, so it's not affecting your lungs as much. leaving you better able to breathe, right? There's less coughing to it, less irritation in the lungs. So if you're going to go work out, then you don't want to be coughing and have your lungs burning. That's zero fun. So the dry herb vape allows you to do all of that without any irritation. And you can just go through your workout or whatever you're doing, hanging out with your friends, I don't know, whatever you like to do while you smoke weed, stretch, lay on the floor, so many fun things we can do, dance, all of those things. It's so much easier when your lungs aren't irritated. So the dry herb vape gives you all the things you need, plus more flavor, which is so amazing. More flavor because you're just heating up the flower instead of burning it, right? So there's less toxins, less exposure to toxins. It's very discreet. So let me also tell you how it doesn't smell. Yeah, it doesn't smell. I know. I do it in the car a lot. Some of it's CBD, some of it's THC, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I do it in the car a lot. But guess what? My car doesn't smell like weed. It's so great. I can do it. I can do it outside. I can do it in the car before I go into a store, or, house or whatever, and nobody knows. So I don't get that lingering weed smell where everyone kind of like gives you the side eye, like you've been smoking weed, like we know it, right? Or, I hear a lot of people talk about how fragrant it is, and I personally love it, but to each his own. So I do hear people talk about how fragrant it is, and they smell it on people when they walk by, and I immediately know that they've been smoking, right? Or we all immediately know that you've been smoking. But with the dry herb vape, it doesn't have the smell. There's a tiny bit of smell when you first, puff, but it dissipates so fast, it's barely noticeable, right? Like you can do it in the house. We have no problem with it, with the smell. It's so good. The dosage control is amazing, right? There's a million different devices. I got mine from a website called Planet of the Vapes, and that they have been really great customer service. They have a huge selection, everything from the mini like I have to the biggest ones, desktop, portables, all the different things. But because you can control, you're not just rolling a joint, right? Or packing a bong. You are actually putting a certain amount in the chamber, and you can control that, as well as you can control the temperature. So the temperature at which you heat your cannabis will have different effects, bring out different terpenes, and it will bring out different flavors. So if you've ever loved the smell of cannabis, which I've started to get really into the smell because they have such distinct, unique smells, that's based on the terpenes. And again, in CannaFit, I go through all of this information because I want you to be a connoisseur. I want you to be educated and know how well that it and how great it can be and how much fun it can be to see all these different smells. I had some I used some yesterday. That was a sample I had gotten at the dispensary, and it was from a brand, and it was cherry guava, I want to say. And so I was inhaling, and I was like, this is like the neatest fruity sensation, smell. Now, I won't call it a flavor. It's a flavor, but like, you know what I mean? You inhale it. So it just was just this really pleasant, like cherry, fruity flavor, and it was just amazingly delicious. And that's all controlled, again, but because you can control the temperature. You're not just burning it. It's also extremely convenient because you can use it in these situations where it just may not be as acceptable or appropriate to be smelling quite so pungent. Like this is a random example, okay, but say you're going to go to church, right? So say you're going to go to church, but you want to have a couple puffs before you go in because, I don't know, maybe it's stressful or maybe you just enjoy it more. Doesn't matter the reason. But so if you have a couple puffs of your joint in your car before you walk into church, you're going to smell like weed and the whole church is going to know it because those are pretty small buildings. But if you have couple puffs of your dry herb vape before you walk into church, no one's going to know. No one's going to know. Okay, that might be a bad example because I'm not sure that church is the right example for a fitness, nutrition, and cannabis podcast. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. You understand my point, right? The dry herb vaping, it virtually eliminates the exposure to the harmful toxins, right? Traditional smoking rely on combustion, right? So you use a lighter, you burn the cannabis, right? And it is, again, it's super popular. I get that. I'm not anti. I'm just giving you my alternative and what I like, right? I think it's great. You do what you want to do. There's so many benefits to inhalation because it's faster. It's a quicker onset. You get immediate relief, all of that. But you're possibly inhaling some hydrocarbons, tar, carbon dioxide, formaldehyde, carbon monoxide, just a few things that they think you might be inhaling when you burn cannabis in a joint, right? So more than just throat irritation, obviously that's annoying, but beyond that, these byproducts can compromise respiration and make it feel like it's more difficult to breathe when you're working out, right? So it can irritate and even paralyze those little hairs in your lungs, the cilia. Do you remember that word, cilia, from like 7th grade biology? But yes. Anyway, so that's what causes the coughing, right? Or bronchitis. So when you heat the cannabis instead of burning it, you virtually eliminate this risk, right? So it has less odor. It's more discreet. The vapor is briefly visible, but it dissipates so fast and it's not nearly as obvious as smoking a joint. You can also, this is the other cool thing about the dry herb vape, is you can add things to your little oven. I think they call it a chamber, but the little oven part where you put the flower, you can add aromatic components to it. I was talking to my friend, the cannabis connoisseur, and he was saying, I think he said he puts lavender in his chamber in the little oven with his flower just to give it a pleasant, aromatic, like a pleasant scent to it, which you could do that with peppermint. You could do a chamomile. I mean, gosh, you could do any sort of aromatherapy in there if you wanted to mask the scent or if you wanted to make it more pleasant in a different way for yourself. You could completely add aromatherapy on top of your cannabis, which would be super cool. It's very simple. Their oven is activated with the press of a button. Mine heats up to the temperature that I set it within seconds. Like it's not even 30 seconds, which is amazing. You don't need any practice. You just press the button and it does it, and then you inhale. It's really simple. There's no joint rolling or bowl packing necessary. Very, very simple. And again, it can provide a really precise dosage because you can adjust the temperature, right? You can measure precisely how much flour you're putting in it, and you can really customize your session. So, most of my CannaFit clients are using dry herb vapes because I promote it so much and because it is so amazing. Again, you invest in a dry herb vape, and then you have it. It's reusable. No more buying vapes, no more buying pre-rolls, no more disposables. You can just buy flour, which is so fun because then you can play with different types. You buy flour and then put it in there, and then you've got this device. I love mine. It's pocket size. I just carry it in my pocket if I want to bring it somewhere, or I just leave it at home. There are desktop ones that are bigger, and they obviously sit on a desktop, but so they're not portable. But there's a million kinds that you can use and try, but you only have to buy one, because you just reuse it instead of having to buy a disposable vape or pre-rolls or whatever it is that you're using. So you're going to save money is what I'm saying. Bottom line, you're going to save money. I mean, these things range from, I think the smallest one is around $100. And the big ones are, probably $500. So it's a range, and it's a small investment, or a slight investment. I don't know. It's an investment, let's say. But then you're saving money because I'll tell you, it's a lot cheaper just to buy flour and put it in your vape than it is to buy pre-rolls or to be buying disposable cartridges and all that. So you're going to save money. So you get to really know, back on the taste and the flavor, you get to really know the terpenes and how that affects the taste and the flavor of it, and how it affects your body. And it just allows you to get a little more tailored, a little more customized. I wanted to say nerdy because I feel like I'm a little bit of a cannabis nerd in that I love the science of it and I love the terpenes. So you don't have to full nerd with me, but if you like experiencing and customizing, then you're going to like the dry herb vape. So again, I'm not selling anything here. All I'm selling is coaching, which is just working with you one-on-one. I'm here to educate you, and I want you to know that these things exist and that they're super cool. Again, not a promotion, but I did get an email today that the Planet of the Vapes, which is where I got mine, is having a 420 sale. So if you're curious, I would get on the Planet of the Vapes website and check out their sales. Again, not a promotion. I just really had a good experience with them. So I think that covers it. I think that covers all of the reason that I think that dry herb vaping is amazing. Again, it's just easier on your lungs. So for fitness, when it comes to fitness, it's just gonna make it easier, right? Because if smoking a joint makes you cough a lot and irritates your lungs, your throat, then you might not have as good of a walk or as good of a run or as comfortable of a run as you might have, right? If you're used to it, it doesn't bother you, then by all means, it doesn't bother me. Like, I'm here to express and to emphasize how helpful cannabis can be for your fitness and nutrition. So there is no shame in smoking, but if you do experience discomfort and you are looking for a cleaner alternative and to save a little bit of money, then a dry herb vape is the way to go. So with that, if you have any questions or would like to chat more about this or anything else fitness, nutrition, or cannabis related, please feel free to send me an email. I am Beth at cannafitnessnutrition.com, and I hang out on Instagram the most, which is Beth_cannafitnessnutrition. And thanks for tuning in. Please share, and I will see you next time.